Hi. Good morning and welcome to this semester's 12th prerequisite in our course entitled #How to Run for Mayor, the Grandfather Clause. In this chapter, Berg Mountain University explores respect and the stability of Wharton. Come along with us.
12th prerequisite. Respect and the stability of Wharton. As any sober-minded citizen would in theory be as good a mayor as the next, theory speaks in general where specifically Memphians couldn't afford to lose after coming so far. Who would follow Herenton as effectively and efficiently if that were at all possible, which no one thought it was at the time other than voters of the Wharton Initiative. The fourth African-American mayor of the city, he was more significantly the second African-American elected to the position. In office for 17 years and 6 months, Herenton felt a greater need from where he had come as superintendent of city schools, where resigning he could pursue the position he couldn't otherwise. Vacating his seat, the then chairman of the city council, Myron Lowery, would continue the business of the city for the betterment of all as interim mayor from July 31, 2009. As Mayor Pro Tem, Lowery ran against Wharton the following October 15 unsuccessfully. Though in office but 2 months and 26 days, Lowery governing the city when he had can't be overlooked, because there is but one thing worse than government, a lack of it. Certainly, Lowery was an educated, experienced and fine replacement who may have worked well with the city following Herenton's precedent, but America is a democracy where voters decide their fate through those they elect. Calculating the will of a local proletariat that ushered Herenton in office and to 5 re-elections, first-generation college students produced seconds, some had while others less, and as justice divides, Wharton did so too.
Calculating the will of a local proletariat, first-generation college students produced seconds where college was a destination most settled for in lieu of a university preference. To say one would prefer $1 to 2 or 3 is to say a high school education is somehow more valuable than one from a college or university, as if one went to Hamilton, when they hadn't. With Herenton and Lowery more so from the Le Moyne perspective, the small private college could handle but few of the masses graduating in the city who sought higher education. Tennessee State University had long since educated scholars from the city and others as well, so where Le Moyne's local fame would only reach so far, the evolution of education gave way to a broader scope. Herenton's time as superintendent of schools and 17 years in office saw many seek higher education, and as time progressed, first-generation college students produced those latter who wanted more. So, the choice was not so much Lowery or Wharton, but Le Moyne College or Tennessee State University, where calculating graduates from both in the city the magnitude leaned more towards those from the university. The evolution of those younger in the city produced a thirst for knowledge that trumped basic reading, writing and arithmetic, making the analogy in Memphis, Tennessee and Memphis, Egypt. Not that others hadn't studied the wonders of Egyptian culture and tradition, but a fraternity of those who had supported Wharton's candidacy more so than they would Lowery's, and Wharton was an attorney. More educationally credentialed, Wharton would win the day on October 15, 2009.
Calculating the will of a local proletariat that gradually from first-generation college graduates became seconds and thirds, some had while others did less so. As equality unites us and justice divides us, the body of voting citizens with more to lose than others with less felt the protection of an attorney was preferred. As law ensures those that have keep what they have acquired, tomorrow becomes that much more agreeable, knowing we can leave home for work and return afterwards with our possessions intact. The divide between those with and others without widened as universities produced masters and doctors from university educations that were not offered in college settings. The workforce in the city from years of success under Herenton produced workers overqualified for their positions, but humbled by doctor before Herenton's name. Eventually the city bulged with others who only succumbed to law.
Calculating the will of a local proletariat, second-generation college students, some had much while others less, and as justice divides, Wharton did so too. Most everyone who offered an option to choose between good, better, and best of anything would prefer a superlative product before others lesser, and likewise with education. Not that one is a better man, father, son, or more loyal friend, when educated. It's just that rank and file amongst more civilized persons in the world are so in relation to age, biology and education or democracy, respectively. The decision to choose education or democracy comes from the presenter's delivery, where in local elections charisma matters much more so. An example of success, if whether or not that were the case, he looked the part and spoke to the many more who returned to the Memphis workforce from student movements to the capital. SU was certainly not the only school in Nashville, but it housed a Memphis culture that had a politics all its own and unique dialect. Just as the closer two medical doctors approach, they say things only they know and laugh, is just how Memphians who left to study, work, play and live life in the big city created a dialect. Wharton knew this dialect and could more readily relate on the more national stage where Memphis was then, and more compassionately address the majority of those whose property he was to protect and serve.
The will of our local proletariat that ushered Herenton in office and to 5 re-elections was captured by Wharton, as he received 60% with 25 candidates for the office. Wharton was thrust into office only 11 days after being elected, sworn in on October 26, 2009. First-generation college students produced seconds in a broader scope of education for them, which included economic compensation and a brighter side of Memphis. Naturally, some had much while others did less, and as justice divides us, Wharton did so us too. As the least expectation of any successor is to surpass the bare minimum of maintaining what was previously established, Wharton couldn't have done a better job.
That concludes the information for this chapter. Hopefully we will see you next week in our 13th prerequisite of clarity and the resolve of Strickland. See you then.